ReHearsal House is a musical academy, okay, based in Nigeria. And here is one of our first lessons for piano students. It's called Introduction to Piano Keys. To begin to learn the instrument that is the piano keyboard, you have to firstly understand the keyboard anatomy, the anatomy of the musical keys as they are found on the piano. Okay, and in this introductory lesson to piano performance or piano playing, that is what we are going to do. It is by no means the end of the lesson, it is just the very beginning of the lesson. So we have other lessons in the preliminary course, that is PNO 100 according to the ReHearsal House curriculum, and that includes training up your fingers, warming up your fingers to be able to play the things which you want to play, which you desire to play. And but the first thing you have to know before we get to the training of your fingers and all of that is to really understand how the instrument exactly works as it relates to music. In music there are basically 12 keys, and these 12 keys in music are also found in every musical instrument, and they are also found on the piano keyboard. So it is where to start from. And keys basically represent sounds. They are used to represent sound, and in music I'll be using that interchangeably. Whenever you hear sound also referred to as notes in music. It's referred to as notes. So when you hear us use sound or notes interchangeably, that is what we mean. Keys basically in this context of discussion, of discussing it, produce a sound, produce notes. And there are different sounds, sounds of high pitch, sounds of low pitch. A definite characteristic of sound, two particular elements which has to be present to make up sound are pitch and duration. So this is just to help us to understand. Keys produce sound, and the sound which the key produce are of particular pitch. Pitch here means frequency. High sound, high, low sounds, low. Just like on the piano, you have high, lower comes to the middle, and the mid low. Of course, there are lower sounds than that on the piano. So whenever we say sound, we mean note. When we say note, we mean sound as well. So, but again, the other part is duration. I won't be talking so much about it today, except to say that pitch means how high or how low the sound is. While duration means how long or short the sound lasts. Okay, so those are two things that just work together. But today, to understand the key anatomy or the anatomy of the keys of music as they are found on the piano keyboard, we are going to be dwelling much more on the particular one called pitch. Now, before pitch, I've mentioned that there are 12 keys in music. In all musical instruments, they apply, and these keys are best explained or shown forth when you look at the piano. You look over here at this piano keyboard, you find black series, you find white series, and these are basically the keys which you have. So the keys, therefore, in piano music are divided into two according to colors, just as you can see over here. You find it in basically all piano keyboards around. And the color classification are white keys classifications, and the other color classifications are black keys. Alright, now the white keys here and the black keys, you can easily understand that, you can easily see them, so long as you can feel that over there, white down here and black up there. Alright, now in case where someone maybe is unable to see, it is where what we mentioned earlier concerning sound comes in. Every of these keys produce a very definite sound. they produce a very particular sound. For instance, this C here, which corresponds to this C here, although the octaves are different, corresponds to a pitch which is called C2. And this pitch has a very definite particular frequency. So even though you can't see it, for instance, you could tell the difference between C and the black, the C sharp over there, when you get well used to the sound. All right. After all, like we've mentioned earlier on, keys produce sound. So we have these two classifications of keys on the keyboard: white keys and black keys. And the 12 keys are just spelled out in this white and black arrangement. You would also notice when you look at the black keys that there are two groups of black keys, or two arrangements of black keys. There's an arrangement into the group of twos, there's an arrangement into the group of threes. It just continues, twos and threes. So we're going to say the black keys are arranged into group of twos and into group of threes. Now, why this is important, we are going to observe shortly, because we're going to be looking at the landmarks. One of our objectives in this introductory lesson is that you are able to name the keys, the musical keys. You're able to represent them, to identify them on the piano keyboard. Okay, so that is one of the objectives of this class. So it has to happen firstly before we can really get into some extra details. Now, we have this group of black keys, group of twos and group of threes, and if you observe, group of twos and group of threes simply means that you have a total of 5 black keys. That is actually 5 black key names, all right, because every of these black key names, even though they repeat themselves, are going to repeat in different frequencies, that is different pitch. Now, these 5 black key names means we have just 5 out of 12 and we have 7 left, and the 7 balance are the ones which make up the white keys. The white keys in piano music are also referred to as the natural keys, and this is the symbol for the natural keys. The black keys could be called either of 2 names. We could refer to them as sharp keys, in which case we have these, and we could refer to them as flat keys, in which case we have that. All right, so we have natural keys, sharp keys, and flat keys. Just like you could note here, black keys having sharp and flat means that sharp and flat are sort of 2 different names expressing one particular type of or color of keys. It means that a particular black key is going to bear a sharp and at the same time bear a flat name as well. Now, the musical keys in music are named from the 7 letters of the English alphabet, and that is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And these names here, please again keep in mind, they represent sounds of definite pitch. An A sound, a B sound, a C sound, a D sound, an E sound, an F sound, a G sound. It's the same thing as saying A note, B note, C note, and so on and so forth. Now, this A note is going to be produced by a particular key which corresponds to this A. And for that A note to be correctly represented, it means that that key which is going to produce the A note must be able to produce the appropriate frequency, appropriate pitch, which corresponds with A note. All right, so that is how it works. Now, this default form of the names A, B, C, D, E, F, G are also what we would refer to here as the natural key names. So the natural keys, therefore, are keys A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. These are the natural keys. And if we look at the keyboard, we are going to realize that A, B, C, D, E, F, G are all white keys. Now, but an important question is, how do we identify A, B, C, D, E, F, and G on the keyboard? How do we say or know that this is key C and this is key G and all of that? And that is where this grouping of the white black keys into groups of twos and group of threes come in to help. And please, it is important to state firstly that the basic key to start with in most cases is the key of C, and that's fine, it's quite important. But an error accompanied with that idea is to think that that is because C is the first white key on the keyboard. That is not always so. There are a number of keyboards, 7.5 or thereabout, 7.25 sort of octave keyboards, and that is 7 octaves with a couple of notes, are usually not going to start from C. And there are even some octave or 6 octaves and so on that do not exactly start from C. So what is the most appropriate way to define or get to know what the particular key, natural key is on the keyboard? That is, how do I know this is C and this is G and all that? Please, we go over now to the landmarks, and that is the groups of twos and threes. There are two basic landmarks in piano music and as touching learning or knowing the actual keys. And those two landmarks are the keys of C and F. Once you're able to identify C, and of course for F, you just read A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you complete the rest. And of course, there's no H. You must pay mind to that. It means that once you get to G, the cycle returns back to A, of course, on a higher pitch this time. Now, the group of twos and threes is a very, very cherished landmark. That is how we're going to realize what key is what. And to help us understand it further, take a look at the group of twos. Take a group at a group of twos. We'll get to the threes later. Group of twos, group of twos. And the first white key that is just before the group of twos, that white key just before the group of twos, is the key referred to as C. So C is the white key just before the group of two. It's that simple, and this is compulsory. It's a rule on any keyboard, any piano, grand piano, or whatever it is. Once you identify a group of two black keys, the white key that is just before the group of two black keys, two black keys, the white key that is just before them, two black keys, the white key that is just before them. Now, if you have your own keyboard, you can go on and try to identify two black keys, the white key just preceding them, that is the key of C. Now, you look next to the group of threes. Group of three blacks, group of three blacks, group of three blacks, and so on. The white key just before the group of three blacks, that is the key of F. The white key just before the group of three blacks, that is the key of F. And so it goes. The white key just before the group of three blacks, that is the key of F. That is the key of F. Why the white key just before the group of two black keys, that is the key of C. Okay, so with this we would be able to take a simple diagram here, and we could see a group of three blacks and say here is C and here is F. And now that we know C and F, come back here. Remember what we mentioned earlier, that you have C and you have F, you just read the A, B, C, Ds and so on. So C will be preceded, followed by D, followed by E, and you find that F comes in immediately, followed by G, followed by A, and then B. Okay, so once you go on, you realize you come back to C. It just goes on that way. It continues just like a cycle. You get a C, a D, an E, F, G, A, B, and you get to find another C. In the next lesson, I'm going to be talking further on the key anatomy, but this time we'll be looking at the particular pitch of the respective keys. What is the difference, since this is a C and this is a C? What is the difference between this C and this C? What is the difference between this F and this F? And that is the part where our pitch is going to come in handy. If you have questions, you could drop them in the comments. You could also reach us on our mail. All that is going to be placed on the description. Don't forget, if you did enjoy or follow our lessons, don't forget to subscribe and like, and please drop a comment. See you next time.